This is going to be video set and notes for Chapter 8 of Excel Intermediate. We're going to be working across multiple worksheets using hyperlinks as well as some format painter options we're going to discuss. So, to get yourself started, what you're going to need to do if you're in class, or I'll link in the bottom of this video a link to the exercise files that you'll need. If you're in class, you'll need to go to File Open, of course, then Browse. Then you're going to Office 2010 Labyrinth Files, Excel 2010 Labyrinth Comprehensive, Lesson 8, and Budget Project is the name of the worksheet. If you're downloading them from online and you're working at home, then it's just Lesson 8 Project Budget. Okay? So again, that's Project Budget that you're looking for. So, without further ado, here we are. As I go ahead and silence my phone so it doesn't ring anymore. We are going to select multiple sheets in order to affect them. You can select, well, a range of sheets by using Control and Shift click. I can just go down here and use Control click and get two sheets selected together. Okay. If I want to break the selection, I'll just click away from either one and break the selection. Or I can select all three by clicking on one, then holding Shift and clicking on another. That is a technique that is pretty common to select all items within a range. Okay, so I've got them all selected. I'm going to make some changes to this sheet, and when you have all sheets selected, changes that you make to one sheet will affect all of them. Calculations that you make, basically anything you do on any sheet, if they're all selected, it will affect all of your sheets as far as expanding column width, row height, whatever it is you decide to do. Okay, I'm going to come down to cell A16 and I'm going to bold it. Let me zoom in a little bit here so you can see a little better maybe. There we go. So I bolded it up here. I'm going to type total, press enter. Okay, and what I'll do is go ahead and show you that I type total there in bold. I'll shift click any one of these sheets to break the selection, then click on mileage here. On mileage, I've got total in cell A16 bold, and advertising, I've got total in cell A16 bold, because what you do to one sheet is going to affect all sheets if you have them selected to. Your handout will show you how to select multiple cells down here on page 2. And again, the concept just is that if you have more than one sheet selected down here, then you're going to be able to create formulas or format or do whatever you want to on one sheet, and it will affect all of them. Okay. The next section you're going to have is linking cells. So linking cells to an area in a different worksheet. Okay. What we're going to end up doing is linking a cell in the advertising sheet to cells over here. Alright, so here's how we're going to do it. We're on the summaries worksheet. We're going to select C5. Okay, in fact, we're not going to do that yet. Let's go over to advertising first and actually get a number over here. We're going to perform an auto sum down here in cell B16. Alright, so we need to come up to auto sum. It's going to guess the range of B4 through B15. That's what we want. So we'll press enter, and here's our number. Alright, come on over to summary. We've got cell C5 selected, which is our advertising year-to-date spent. Okay, which should go with the advertising worksheet. And we're going to type equals to start a formula. Okay. Then we jump over to the advertising worksheet here and click on the cell we want to reference in the formula. Okay. You could either click the checkbox from this point or press the enter key. Basically, your formula is going to read in cell C5 equals advertising sheet exclamation point B16. So this cell is going to equal B16 here on my advertising sheet. Alright, so it's linked to this cell, which means if I add something to this, if I add 1200 there, this changes to 9,275. I go back to summary, and that is changed to 9,275 as well. Okay, they are linked at this point. So what happens to one is going to be reflected over here on the summary sheet. Okay. To complete this, we're going to go over to cell D5 here, and that's going to equal B5 minus D5. I'm sorry, C5. B5 minus C5. Okay. And enter. We get 30,725. That's going to bring us to page 4 of the handout, where we have instructions on copying worksheets. So that's what we're going to do next. So we have some worksheets down here: summary, advertising, mileage. We're going to need worksheets for equipment and worksheets for training materials. Okay, so we're going to place equipment for advertising down here, place training materials at the end after mileage. In order to do that, you can control drag, okay, but we won't do that. Okay, we'll go ahead and click on advertising here. I think that's the one we're going to want to copy. It is. So we'll click on advertising. Control drag would work for those of you who were in Excel 1. We can also come on up to insert, or what do they have on the handout actually? Are we using the format button? Format, move or copy? Okay, we can do that too. Format, move or copy, or right click, move or copy would do the same thing. It's the same end result. It's just that your handout has you using the format button. So I'm going to go there. And we want to place this new sheet, which will be equipment, between advertising and mileage. So you can see that you're going to insert before whichever sheet is displayed here. So we want between advertising and mileage. We'll select mileage. Make sure you select create a copy, because you don't want to end up moving our current sheet. And we'll click OK, and you should get advertising 2 here. We're just going to rename that to equipment by double clicking and naming it. Alrighty. We're also going to rename this to equipment tracking sheet here instead of advertising and tracking sheet. I'm going to use the formula bar to rename. You could also double click to edit there. So we've got equipment tracking sheet, and we'll change the numbers a bit. I'm going to come up here and change my numbers just a little bit. 1211. Okay, so we've changed things around a bit, given it a new title, and we should be kind of good to go there. Alright, our total is already rolling up because we had a formula down here adding up those entries. Alright, we're going to copy advertising one more time, so I'm going to select advertising here. This time I'm just going to use the right click technique. Right click, and you can't see it on my screen. It dropped out at the bottom. It won't appear at the top. When you right click, you'll see the option for move or copy. Even though it's dropped out the bottom of my screen, I'm going to go down there and click it, and we end up with this same box here. Training materials is going to go after mileage, so I'm going to select sheet 3 and then click OK, and I've got, oh no, what did I do? I moved it. That's not supposed to happen. Let's try one more time. Move or copy. The key is checkbox. Okay, then I can click sheet 3 and click OK, and I've got advertising 2 over here. Oops, my mistake. Hopefully you didn't make that mistake too. If you did, just move advertising back. In fact, advertising needs to be back even further before equipment. I'll just drag it over there. Normal drag. And I'm going to rename advertising to training materials. there's that. I'm going to rename this to training materials tracking sheet. And change my numbers a bit. Negative 1705 and 730. Alright, we're also going to delete sheet 3 here. We don't need that. So I'm going to come to sheet 3, right click. I know you can't see the menu, but there is delete. If you right click, you will see delete. Click delete. It's going to ask you, are you sure? Yes. Okay. And the last thing we'll do as far as copying sheets is show you that you can copy sheets between different workbooks as well. So that's the next thing we'll do. I'm going to go to File, Open, Browse, and when you go File, Open, Browse, you should be in the same place we just were. Okay. Salaries is what you're looking for. We'll double click that, and we've got this salary sheet here. Alright, we're going to take salaries and we're going to move it to really the end of the other workbook, and here's how it's going to happen. What's the best way for me to show you this, because what's my right click menu going to show up? No, it's still dropping off to the bottom. I'll go to Format then again and move or copy sheets. Same thing we did before. Same window. We're going to choose create a copy, but we're in the salaries workbook here. We're just going to change to a different workbook. You'll only see open ones here. Budget project's the one we got that we were working on. We're going to choose to move this to the end. Again, create a copy is checked. Click OK. And now we've got that salaries worksheet taken from one workbook and placed in another. So that was our intention there. Alright, so you can do a copy within a worksheet or workbook, I should say, within a workbook, or take another workbook's sheet tab and copy it into some other workbook. So that's what we did. Went from the salaries workbook to this one with our sheet tab here. Alright, we're on to page number 5 of your handout, which is about the format painter and copying formats between worksheets. So in order to do that, we're going to jump over to the summary sheet here, and we've got a format in cell A2 that we're going to copy, it looks like. So we'll select cell A2 here, my career, budget and expenses, and you got the format painter up here, which allows you to copy and paste a format. So I'm going to click format painter and go to the advertising worksheet. Okay, and it looks like it's already there, but I'll go ahead and copy it anyway. That's what it said to do. So, oh, it's because I didn't change worksheets. Let me go ahead and format painter again. Advertising, still got the format painter, and go to cell A1. There you go. Okay, so that's what you're supposed to get done. I'm going to go back to summary and copy a couple other formats. Okay, I've got D4 that I'm going to copy. So I'll select D4, format painter, go back over to advertising, and I'm going to copy that to B3 here. Okay, go back to summary again, and I'm going to select cells A16 and B16 like so. Okay, the bold format and that number format here, and format painter, go over to advertising, and I'm just going to select cell A16 because it's going to apply the format to bold based on my previous selection of 2 cells. So I'll click here. It formats both of these cells as need be. Okay, and I think I've got everything there. So I formatted this with the format from cell B2 on the summary, and I formatted these with a couple other formats. Okay, so format painter again is like a copy and paste of format. We've gone over that in Excel beginning. This time we're just using it between worksheets. Okay, next we're going to use that format painter to copy and paste formats from an entire worksheet onto others. So this advertising worksheet has formatting. These other guys here do not. So we're going to apply it there. I'm going to select advertising, then select the entire thing. This is your select entire worksheet or select all button between the A and the 1 here. So that's what I use. This one right here. Okay, that should get everything selected for you. I'm going to want to apply this format to a couple different places. So I'm going to double click the format painter in order to do so. So I'm going to double click the format painter here. That will leave it on until I decide to terminate it by pressing escape or by clicking here again. The format painter will remain on. So I'm going to click on equipment, and if I just click the select all button, everything should be formatted correctly because we have the exact same setup, alright, as far as where data is in cells. So it took on the exact same formatting from the advertising worksheet. Okay, I'm going to do that with mileage. So I'll select mileage here, and looks like mileage might already be done. I'm just going to leave it alone and go over to training materials and select the select all button in training materials, and that should format that entire sheet. Okay. When you're done with the format painter, you can press escape, click the format painter button again to deactivate it. I'm just going to press escape, and if I click anywhere in the sheet, that will deselect the entire sheet, and I'll deselect here and deselect there as well. We should have the same format across all. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to come on over to mileage, and I'm going to make a calculation of mileage because we have this amount over here. I've got a column width that's a little too small. I think I'll just extend it out a little bit. I'll come between the C and the D here. Just extend it out a little bit so we get amount spent both on two different lines. Alright. So, in cell C4 I'm going to make a calculation. I've got equals B4 times 0.44 is what we're going to make the calculation for our mileage here, our amount spent. Okay, so equals B4, you can click it in, type it in, times, which is the asterisk, 0.44, and enter. Alright. You can also, of course, copy number formats. So I'm going to copy the number format from B4 over to C4. So if I click Format Painter, click over here, you can see that it takes away my decimal places and gives me the correct formatting in cell C4. And I'm going to go ahead and use the fill handle and fill this down. Again, the fill handle is the little plus in the bottom right corner. Take that, fill it down through row 15. Okay, of course some of these are going to be 0 because there's no numbers here in the left column, so that's how it's going to work out. Okay, the next item we have is paste special, which you have on page number 6 of your handout. So paste special is going to be just that, a special way to paste. Allows you to have some different options when you're pasting formulas, pasting numbers, things of that nature. So for instance, if I select B4, I'm on summary by the way, so go ahead and click on summary if you haven't. B4 through B16 here, and I choose copy. If I come over here to H4, and I'm not going to use the top half of the paste button, I'm going to use the bottom half here. You're going to have quite a few different options that pop up. I've got just normal paste, which is just a normal paste. It's pretty much the same as the source. Paste formulas only. Okay, you see there's no formatting there. Paste formulas and number formatting. You've got a few, keep source formatting, different options here at your disposal. Okay, so paste is a little more complicated in Excel versus other programs. because you do have a couple different paste options to look through. Alright, we're not actually going to paste over there. Just going to experiment with that. No need to have that in a different location. Alright, what we will actually paste is A11 through A15. Okay, we're going to copy that and jump over to salaries. Okay, jump over to salaries, and in cell B3 we're going to paste. Okay, we can do that. Alright, so we'll go ahead and I'm just gonna do normal old paste here. Alright, and I've covered up my numbers, but you have some paste options here. Alright, as I look through here, there's formulas, so on, so forth. There's also the option to transpose my paste. If I transpose, that basically takes it from vertical to horizontal orientation. So if I choose transpose, it's actually going to take that information, make it go across a row rather than down a column, and that is an option that you have as well if you want to transpose your data one way or the other. It can go from column or row to column or column to row. Again, that is transpose. Okay, we've got B3 through F3 selected. I'm going to align these entries with the number entries with a right align here. So we got that as well. Alright, next I'm going to go over to the advertising worksheet. In this advertising worksheet, I'm going to select cell B3 and copy it. After copying B3, I'm going to jump back over to salaries. So I'm clicking over on salaries here, and I'm going to select cell G16. Okay, cell G16. And I'm not actually going to paste on top of this number. What I'm going to do, I copied from B3 in advertising. I'm going to click the drop down arrow underneath paste. Come on down to paste special. Alright, and you've got quite a few different options here, one of them being column widths. Okay, so I'm not going to paste all formats, blah blah blah. All I'm going to paste is the column width. You can see that this column's kind of messed up. So if I choose to paste column width, click OK. That's all I end up pasting is the column width. That way I can go ahead and see all my data here. I can see my number, which was hashtags or pound signs or whatever before, and that's one of the options you have as well if you want to paste column width from one place to another. There's a bunch of different options with paste special. Okay, I do want to make this 3 a little shorter. It's a little too tall right now, so I'm going to select it, come down underneath 3 and double click. That's going to auto fit row 3 to its contents, shrinking it up so it's just taking up as much space as it needs to. It doesn't take up any more than that. Okay. Let's see, what else do we want to do? We're in this salary sheet still. Let's select from, we're going to select from B5 through B8. B5 through B8. Okay. We're going to copy that and select cell H5. Is that right? That doesn't look right. H5 is too far over. Yeah, that does not work actually. So let's try a different range. The only thing they're trying to show you is that one of the things you can do when you paste is add to a range. So I'm going to escape and try that again. I'm going to select B4 through B7 for instance. Okay, just to show you how this works. Then we'll undo it. I've got that selected. I'm going to go to Format, not Format Painter. I'm going to go to Copy. Then select a range that I want to add these values to. In fact, I'm going to just select E4 here. Okay. If I select E4, click the drop down arrow, go to Paste Special. One of the options I have here is Add, and if I select Add, that's going to take this range, add it add it to this range, when I click OK, you'll see the addition of those two ranges. Okay, you also saw that you can multiply, subtract if you wanted to as well. So that's another function of paste specials. You can add to a range like that. Okay, I'm going to undo that and press escape to get rid of the marquee and move on from there. So those are a few of your paste commands that you have available to you. Alright, and I'm going to keep on moving. So it's going down, your paste special goes through page 7. Page 8 of your handout, you've got using named cell ranges. Alright, the next item we have is named cell ranges. You can name cell ranges to automatically jump to an area, to use a range in formulas. It can be useful if you have different items in different worksheets that you want to use in formulas and you want to kind of shortcut your way into creating that formula. So here's how it's going to go. If I wanted to, for instance, name the range of data here in the salaried sheet, I can select from B4 through F15. I've got a name box up here, and one of the rules for, well, probably the most important rule for naming a range, is you can't have any spaces. So I'm just going to call this salary underscore data. Oop. And press enter. Okay, so that range is now called salary data. If I jump to training materials and click this drop down arrow here, I've still got salary data there as somewhere I can jump to. So if I click on salary data, it takes me right there. Alright, if you were to do a Control G, you would also see that range show up. So you can name a range that way. Alright, I'm going to jump over to advertising though, and we've got our advertising total here. I'm going to name just that cell. So I'm going to click in here, type in advertising, whoops. Click in the name box, type in advertising underscore total, and press enter. And this will be the name to advertising total. I'm going to go over to equipment, click on that total, name it equipment total underscore total, no spaces, or otherwise you'll get errors if you do a space. In fact, it won't let you name it. It just comes up with an error message. Jump over to mileage, select its total, click up there, mileage underscore total, and then I'll select the total down here in training materials, so I switch to training materials. Select cell B16. I'll just type in TM underscore total. Alright. Then I'm going to jump over to salaries again. And down in cell, I'll say A21, I'm going to type grand total. Okay. Alright, I'm going to, in a second, make a formula with these names that I just created. Okay, if I click the drop down arrow, I should be able to see them there, and I can. I'm going to go over to the formulas tab though and make sure I don't have any other named areas that might cause interference. Okay, so if you want to edit the named ranges in your worksheet, you've got a name manager here. So I'm going to click on name manager, and I'm going to take a look. I can see all of the named items that I've got there. And I got mileage. Did I get, maybe TM total didn't get created. Let me go ahead and close this and see if TM total is there. It doesn't look like it was taken. Let me go back to training materials. Nope, I must not have completed it. So let me remake that. TM underscore total, enter. Okay, let me make sure it's there now. It is. Alright, so in name manager, I've got an equipment total here that it's not one that I made. That was already there. I got mileage total. All the ones with underscores I made. Alright, if you wanted to get rid of any of these, you could just click on it, you can delete it. If you wanted to edit the range, you could choose edit from here, however it is you want to do it. Okay, so let's say I want to get rid of this equipment total. Click on it, delete it. So are you sure you want to delete the name equipment total? I'll say OK, and it'll go away. Maybe I'll get rid of the items that look like repeats of my data, like mileage total. Anything else? No. So you've got that ability there if you wanted to go in here and get rid of named cell ranges. Okay. So again, that's the name manager that allows you to edit. That's in your packet on page looks like 9, 8 and 9. Alright. The last thing we're going to do with those named ranges is you can use them in a formula. So it is a way to shortcut having to jump from worksheet to worksheet down here as you make a formula. For grand total, we're going to take advertising plus equipment plus mileage plus training materials totals. So what we'll do is type equals, and you've got a use in formula button up here. Okay, so I'm going to say use in formula. I'm going to say advertising total plus use in formula equipment plus use in formula mileage plus use in formula TM for training materials. Press enter, and I should get a grand total up down here, adding up all of those entries. Okay. So that's another thing you can do with those named ranges. It does make creation of formulas a little bit easier. All right. So that's how it's going to work. That's how name ranges go. We'll have a little bit on the exercises section to do with that as well. All right. And I believe we have one more item here. Two, actually, more items. Hyperlinking and printing. If you go on your worksheet, hyperlinking is on page 10. Okay. You can hyperlink to a website. You can hyperlink to another workbook. You can hyperlink to a destination in a workbook. There's a couple different ways you can link in Excel. First, I'm going to try linking to a website. So I'm going to go ahead and in cell I6 here, I'm just going to type HBAS. Okay. And complete that cell. Alright. Go to insert, and in insert you've got hyperlink. Click on hyperlink. And you've got a couple things you can do. You can link to an existing file or web page, a place in a document, a new document, an email address. Those are all options over here. If you just want to link to a website, all you have to do is type in the name of the website. So I'm just going to type in www.hbas.edu, which is the Huntington Beach Adult School website. Okay. When I click OK, this links me to the Huntington Beach Adult School website. Alright. I'm going to make another link. I'm going to type in salary document. Alright. After I complete that cell, again I'm going to click hyperlink, and you have a document in the Lesson 8 folder called Salary Review Schedule. That is in Word. So you can link to a file in another program. So that's what we'll do there, and click OK. You can also link to a place in your current document. So I'll go down here and I'll type in advertising total. Okay. Got advertising total. I'm going to select that again. Go to hyperlink. And if you want to link to a place in your current document, you have the option for place in this document. Your defined names will show up. You can reference cells. I'm going to select the advertising total that I created before and click OK, and I should be able to link to there as well. Alright, then I'm going to test these out as soon as I make sure that everything looks good here. Yep. Alright, so I'm going to go to HBAS first. So I'll click there. I'm probably going to launch an Edge. Don't launch an Edge. Don't want Edge. And here it is, Huntington Beach Adult School website. Worked out as planned. Okay. Then I've got salary document that I'm going to try clicking on. I'll click there, and it opens up that salary document for me, so the link was successful. And advertising total, if I click that, it's just going to jump me to the advertising total in my worksheet. Alright, so all of those hyperlinks work. If you want to delete one, you can right click and you'll have the option to remove hyperlink. You can't see that on my screen. It's there, trust me. Let's see. If I right click there, now you can see it. Alright, remove hyperlink. You got edit hyperlink, so removing it's not going to remove the text, it's just going to remove the link part of it. Alright, so if I just remove it, this turns back to normal text. If I right click and choose edit hyperlink, then I can just get back in here and link to somewhere else if I want to, or do whatever it is I want with that hyperlink. Okay, so I'm going to cancel out of there and come back and bring this guy back down. So we're back in focus. Alright, so that's hyperlinking. Hyperlinking is on your handout on pages 14, actually 13, never mind, 11 through 15. Goodness gracious. We've got a lot of pages on hyperlinking, but that's how you do it. That's how it works. Alright. The last thing we have is printing. That's on page 16. If you want to print out all of these worksheets at the same time, alright, let me scroll up a little more here. So we got summary, advertising, all this good stuff. We want to print them all out at the same time. If I go to File, Print, the default is to just print your currently active worksheet. If you want to print everything, you can click the drop down arrow and choose to print entire workbook. That way you'll get to print out every worksheet in your book. It's spectacular. That's how it'll go. Pretty easy. Just change it to print entire workbook. Okay. So those are all the instructions in your handout. Not so basic as it was last class, but I think you'll be able to get through it. Okay. What I'd like you to do in class when you're done watching this video and following along with the instructions and going through the general techniques is you're going to try the reinforce your skills sections. You should be able to get through all of them. Let me try to see what pages that is. So your reinforce your skills sections will be pages on the exercise handout, of course, that I gave you, not the handout that you were just looking at. Pages 328 through okay, I'm still going 335, 328 through 335. So those exercises will kind of walk you right through the techniques we just went over. Alright, if those of you that are in class, I don't know, maybe attempt to help each other if you get stuck. I don't think there's anything too tricky in there, but don't be shy about asking for a little assistance. When I come back on Wednesday, we will do the apply your skills section, so we get some work on this stuff together and it's not all just fresh and a surprise. So that's how things will go. Try to reinforce your skills after you're done with this video. Then we'll do apply your skills on Wednesday, and I will see you on Wednesday.